All right, so I'm here with Dr. Bobby Driscoll. We are from the Arizona Institute of Integrative Medicine, and I think we're going to talk today about what we eat, maybe slip in some recipes, just kind of talk about food and what we do, kind of personally, how we structure our diets, maybe.
Yeah.
The easiest way to think about that. And certainly we'll put the caveat in there, anybody who listens to what we're saying, talk to your doctor before you go trying out any of these nutrition concepts.
Right, because it's an individualized approach, not a general approach.
Yeah, I'm sure we're doing things differently, and certainly each person will have to have things done probably slightly differently, or sometimes different in a major way.
Right.
So.
Right.
Okay, so meal by meal?
Let's do meal by meal. What do you do for breakfast?
Coffee and cream.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Creative. I do tea and cream.
Tea and cream. Okay. Yeah, I will occasionally have like a late breakfast, like on a weekend or something like that. A brunch, I guess, is probably a better term, like 10 or 10:30.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty rarely do I ever eat early, 6, 7, 8 o'clock. I'm never really usually eating that early. But I know you work out early, so do you, if I remember correctly, you sometimes do structure a little bit of food in there to help with your workout, or?
No, I'm definitely not a pre-nutrition or a pre-workout nutrition type person.
Oh, okay. I thought we had talked at some point and you were, but I guess I'm misremembering.
Yeah, maybe a long time ago, but I don't like to feel food in my stomach with the possibility of vomit. So
makes sense. Yeah.
Since I primarily swim, there's the anaerobic aspect of whatever we're doing, and so I just do not like to push it.
Just a little bit of cream, just to kind of give a little bit of fat.
Yeah, I was gonna say, even in the morning, all I drink is water with some electrolytes in it.
Yeah.
That's what I'll have, and then afterwards, go home, shower, and then I'll have the tea with cream.
Okay. Yeah, same here. Water, electrolytes, because usually working out in the morning. Coffee with cream. Now, where are you in the belief of breaking the fast with cream?
So,
because we get that question, right?
All the time.
Yeah.
I pretend it doesn't break the fast.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I mean, I don't know if like autophagy slows down. We don't really have markers for that, so I have no idea, but it seems to make sense to me that if you're giving fat with, pretty much straight fat in the form of cream, that it's probably going to have a minimal impact.
Right.
And I'm not doing a ton. I'm sure you're not either.
No, so. And if anything, it's ketogenic.
Yeah.
And so you're still going to burn ketones like you would during a fast. So
yeah, I think as far as things we can easily measure, it's probably going to look the same fasted versus if you've had your cup or two of tea and cream.
Yeah.
That's my viewpoint. I don't get too hung up on this. I know some people do.
Yeah. I think, if I'm thinking about skipping the fast and having breakfast, like you, it's going to be 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning, and it's probably going to be the weekend. What do I like to eat? Well, steak and eggs is always good.
For breakfast? Yeah. On the chance that we do have breakfast, that's a good point. Steak and eggs?
That's a great one. Or, if it's going to be some kind of a crazy omelet, something with salsa and hot sauce and peppers, going to make it interesting.
Yeah, sounds great.
Yeah,
I mean, bacon, sausage, obviously used to love eggs and then kind of got an egg allergy. So watch out how much eggs you eat is the moral of that story.
Yep.
Certainly I loved omelets before. Eggs were probably one of my favorite foods prior to getting an egg allergy. And like an omelet was like amazing. Now it will be the breakfast meats, the bacon, sausage. I'll have fruit at breakfast too. Berries.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I love some cold fruit.
Yeah. sometimes like you kind of want something a little creamy too, like Greek yogurt, something like that. So I'll have that, or kefir. Yeah, I mean that. And then, certainly steak is good at every meal for me.
Yeah, exactly.
For me personally. So I'll eat it at breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah, to jump in on the yogurt thing, I love some frozen blueberries in my yogurt.
Oh, yeah.
It makes it like ice cream.
Yeah, yeah, it's good. Good point. Yeah, it's certainly, I'm sure most people are going to be like us, even if they skip breakfast, they're not always going to. So, good to hear kind of what you're doing and what I'm doing when we don't skip breakfast. And certainly, I think the main point is when we don't skip breakfast, it's not like we're eating waffles and pancakes. We're still, staying on the path, so to speak.
Trying to keep it ancestral.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't want to, if your one cheat meal of the week or something like that, or of the month is a waffle or a pancake, I don't want to be against that too much. I mean, I don't know if you've seen, The Rock's pancakes he makes for his cheat day. Have you seen this?
No.
You should Google The Rock and pancakes.
Are they
yeah, I'm sure it's tough because, he's so big. They're probably huge in real life, and they're just to scale with him. But, it's pretty epic. So, I do think, we have some keto waffles, and some keto pancake mix. We'll do that with the kids sometimes. Again, special occasion, but still never really trying to have processed added sugar, at breakfast. Because I can just think of no better way to slow me down and, set myself up for a unproductive day, or just a more sluggish day.
Yeah, exactly.
Than by having sugar at breakfast.
That's exactly what it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay.
That waffle tastes good while you're eating it, then later oh gosh, why did I do that?
Yeah, and this is that blood sugar, and we talk about this with patients, and we do blood glucose monitoring on ourselves as well, and certainly we're looking at the absolute numbers, but we're also looking to make sure that if you were to look at that curve over a 24-hour time frame, it's pretty flat. It's not perfectly flat, but it's pretty flat. You definitely don't want to be seeing big swings up and down. So, okay. I think the other thing just worth mentioning is, and I do find this, other patients have told me this as well. I feel definitely more insulin sensitive at that brunch, when I do have that brunch. So I may actually have a little more fruit than I typically would.
Yeah.
As a result of that. So, just important to keep in mind. For most people, I know this can flip with diabetics, but for most people, insulin sensitivity highest in the morning, and kind of lowest at night. So.
Yeah, and you can really kind of test yourself on that in terms of you eat too late. And you have trouble sleeping.
Yeah.
Well, part of that is because you just can't pull in all the extra sugars and nutrients late in the evening time. Your body was designed to start resting and digesting, and not necessarily reprocessing food.
Yeah. I mean, we see that with the more and more people we get doing CGMs.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of elevated, either a sustained elevation, or again, that up and down roller coaster through the night.
Yeah.
So, okay. Does that cover everything we wanted with breakfast?
Yeah.
Breakfast / brunch?
Yeah, so I'm the easy go-to, because people are like, well, what am I going to eat if I can't have my Honey Nut Cheerios and my piece of toast? How about leftover dinner? It's a great place to start with breakfast. You just have to warm it up.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, for me, that segues nicely into lunch, because that's usually what I have for lunch.
Oh, me too.
Although, I guess depending on how you like to define these terms, if you're the kind of person who defines your first meal of the day as breakfast, then that's what I have for breakfast. But because I'm eating in the lunchtime, that 12 to 1, I still call it lunch. But yeah, leftovers from the night before is usually what I'm eating for lunch.
Yeah, same. Almost always.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's usually some kind of meat, sometimes some kind of veggie, from the night before. Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
and then here at the office, I always have some like nuts on hand for
Yep.
snacking purposes, and like, oh, I forgot to bring some lunch, or
Yep.
oh, hunger's kind of hitting me today.
Yeah. Now, what will you do if you don't have leftovers? Will you make a dedicated lunch? Will you try to do more of a shake? Nuts?
Yeah, I'm bad. I will. I'll bring the nuts, and I'll bring my little Epic bars, which are
Okay, yep.
basically the meat jerky sticks, which I have one in the drawer right now because
Yep.
I didn't make a lunch.
Yep. Yep.
But that way, I'm getting some more protein in my day. It's I think for women, it's the hardest to try to hit that recommended daily dose of protein. So
How much protein are you personally trying to get?
I'm trying to get anywhere between 80 and 100
Okay.
grams. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I'm usually somewhere between a gram per pound of lean body mass and a gram per pound of total body mass. So for me, that's like I'm usually somewhere between 160 and 180 in there.
Yeah.
It will vary a little bit day to day, but
Yeah. And it can be challenging to reach those numbers. So.
yeah, it definitely is. I mean, for me, if I don't, have leftovers from the night before, occasionally if I'm at home and I have a little bit of time, I'll make a lunch. Sometimes I'll use like canned salmon or grab some sardines, just something for protein. There's these canned mussels you can get and oysters, and so I like that stuff too.
Those are great quick
Yeah.
lunches.
Yeah, those Paleo Valley beef sticks, I like those. Maui Nui has some venison ones, which are really good too. They look like little sausages. So I'll grab those. Yeah, nuts are oftentimes, definitely something that's so nice, so convenient. Usually almonds. But yeah, I mean, I think, and then I will often, now recently I usually do have a shake. And usually, it depends on the time of year, but I'm trying to get some of that collagen just from, all the exercise I do and all the stuff I do to my soft tissues. I feel like I need some collagen every day. So in the winter months, it's easier to get that from bone broth, kind of sip on some warm bone broth. When it's hot, it's usually a shake. And I'll usually slip some whey protein in there too. So, and what I've been doing is basically sipping on that, which I have over there actually on the table, between lunch and dinner, and just kind of sipping on it a little bit at a time, and just kind of trickling in those amino acids between lunch and dinner.
Yeah. Did you listen to the last podcast by Peter Attia? They were talking about protein.
Yeah. He had I'm blanking on the guy's name. He's a protein researcher. Has done a lot of real kind of keystone studies of like amino acid metabolism and
I thought he had some really interesting things to say in terms of like how much protein you can take in at one point and actually absorb, and it really was interesting enough, higher in the morning time and less in the evening time, but if you were going to break things up evenly, it's 20 to 30 grams per meal type situation based on size, of course.
Yeah.
So for you, it would be probably like 45, 50 per meal.
Yeah. And I know Peter Attia has, I guess in response to doing this interview, I know he's been talking about how he's trying to get 45 to 60 grams 3 to 4 times a day to kind of hit that 1 gram per pound of body weight. I do like that number. I do like that 1 pound, 1 gram per pound of body weight. If somebody, has a lot of extra body fat, it's maybe not as good. Maybe go with lean body mass, and go 1 to 1.2, grams per pound lean body mass. But it does seem to be a sweet spot for protein. And, for me, I only started splitting it up simply because it was it felt like a lot to do a regular protein meal and then also do a shake on top of that. It just felt like a lot.
Yeah.
You just felt so much heavier afterwards. So it was just sip on the shake throughout the day. and do it that way.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. So.
All right, well, dinner time then.
Yeah, dinner time. Again, usually a protein. Usually meat, fish, sometimes other forms of seafood. You know, we really like mussels, so we'll do those. Kids seem to eat them. You know, if they're like in like a kind of a garlic butter,
Oh, yeah.
you know, they're pretty darn good. So the kids will usually eat them. But yeah, I mean, usually it's protein, some kind of veggies. So broccoli's common for us. Rice, cauliflower. I really like. I do find I like a few ounces of green leafies at the end of the day, to tell you the truth.
Oh, excuse me.
You know, I feel like
Yeah.
it I don't know, I feel better with it. I'm definitely not doing like Wall's protocol style green leafies where I'm like, you know,
9
doing
cups,
a big
yeah.
bowl at every meal, but you know, like having 3 or 4 ounces of green leafies with some olive oil. I like arugula, and olive oil and balsamic, really good.
I gotta get my water.
Okay. Well, I'll keep talking maybe about other things that I'll sometimes do. So with dinner, I will often, if we talk about cooking methods, I have a Traeger grill. I like that thing a lot. I definitely don't use it most of the time because it takes some time to cook on it. It's like a pellet grill. And basically you're, you know, incinerating these pellets. It creates, so you know, depending on what temperature you set it at, you can get a smoking kind of flavor to it. So I really like using that thing. Downside is it does often take a little longer to cook on it. So of course we love the Instapot as well, the pressure cooker, slow cooker,
Yes.
which we were just talking about before we started, and we use that a lot. And that's probably the most common, either pressure cooking, slow cooking, the most common way that I cook meat and you know, protein. I guess you could say protein. So
Yeah, I use the pressure cooker quite a bit. We use, we don't have a grill at my house because we just need to replace it, but we have a fancy oven. And so we'll brown the meat in the pan and then put it in the oven to finish.
Yep.
Usually with a big slab of butter on top.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it.
That's a good way,
Yeah.
yeah. So for
Yeah.
people who are not using pressure cookers, I would, you know, definitely give it a 2 thumbs up recommendation.
Yeah.
Particularly for busy people who forget to take some frozen meat out of the freezer. You can take your roast, put it in the pressure cooker, you know, an hour later, maybe even less depending on the size, you can have a completely cooked roast ready, you know, for dinner.
And sometimes what I'll do too is if I don't have enough time to do a full slow cook, but I have more time than the hour to do a pressure cook, is I'll do both. So I'll do like 30 minutes of a pressure cook, and then I'll kind of flip it over to slow cooking for maybe 4 or 6 hours.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
That works out really well. I like doing it that way. But yeah, that's one of the best things about the pressure cooker is, yeah, if your planning wasn't so good,
Yeah.
you can really benefit from, you know, just the effect that pressure has on rapidly cooking and thawing.
Yes. And like
You know.
those monster sweet potatoes that you really wish you would have thrown in the oven 3 hours ago, you know, you can throw those in the pressure cooker and you can whip them up or
Yeah?
get them cooked up pretty quickly.
What's your favorite dinner?
Oh, man. Okay. This is probably totally cheating, but Poca Cosa, did you ever go to that restaurant?
No.
Okay, so it's basically gourmet Mexican,
Ah.
but without the tortillas.
Oh, okay.
And so the chef would prepare different meats and different preparations, just lip smacking so good. So there would be like a chicken mole, and then there'd be some kind of a skirt steak sautéed in mushrooms and onions, and then maybe there'd be a fish dish, and then there would usually be a tamale pie.
Ah.
And then this huge serving of mixed vegetables that created this really fancy salad. I'm like, and you never needed dressing because all of the juices that came off the meats always complemented each other. Because I'd always order the chef special, so she chooses whatever she's going to put on your plate, and everything just marinates together, and you roll your greens in that. Oh, so whatever she made was my favorite dish because she could cook. Everything was slow cooked and seasoned to perfection. It was just delicious and runny and.
Delicious. Sounds amazing.
How about you? What's your favorite meal?
Probably, and I'm actually going to have it this weekend because of it's my birthday is next week.
It's your birthday? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, a lot of reasons why I haven't brought it up, but we won't go into that. But a tomahawk steak.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Usually with a salad, Julia makes this kale salad. It's got pecans in it. It's got some radish. It's got a little bit of lemon juice. It's got parsley, cilantro. It's got a lot of ingredients, but it's delicious. It goes well with a steak. So probably, tomahawk steak, that salad, a sweet potato to go with it.
Nice,
generally.
Yeah. How do you have room? If nobody knows what a tomahawk steak is, it's this enormous piece of meat.
And if I'm really nerding out to say what tomahawk steak, and hey, maybe we can get these people as maybe they can if they want to do ads at some point. But Snake River Farms, which is American Wagyu, and they have amazing tomahawks. They have a black grade and then a gold grade, and so the higher up the grade, the better the marbling is, and so. And they will dry age it for you. So, very amazing. Definitely my favorite tomahawk steak.
I'll be over for dinner tonight.
Yeah. You're going to be knocking on my door on the weekend.
I'm ready for my tomahawk.
Oh, yeah. And I will cook that on the Traeger, usually for I'll put it on the Traeger at 275 for about an hour, maybe an hour and a half. And then that'll usually get it to about 115 to 120. And I usually like it at about 135. So once I pull it at about 120, it goes on the super hot grill. Gets grilled for 10 minutes maybe just to get it to that temperature. And so you get, some of the caramelization, some of that kind of that crispiness on the outside. You get the crispy fat, and just...
Oh, yeah, the caramelization.
We're definitely ostracizing anybody who doesn't eat meat with this, but sorry. And there's no, I don't think there's anything that can simulate a tomahawk steak.
Yeah. We should probably put a warning on this podcast, vegans beware. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. And certainly, definitely this is a podcast for another time, but we're not too worried about red meat and its effects on health.
No, not at all. Because, we would have sussed that out a long time ago when people only ate animals and game meat and stuff like that.
And we should do a podcast on that because certainly, it's good to dig into those details. We should do a dedicated episode on that, and we can talk about the hazard ratios and how they're, essentially indistinguishable from noise in most studies. And we can dig into that aspect of it. But from our reading, from our understanding, and of course from the evolutionary perspective, we don't have a problem with red meat. Now, we do want, in general, I definitely advocate for, grass-fed, grass-finished, making sure the animals are treated well, humanely, happy cows, on pasture, in the sunshine. I definitely think that just because you advocate for meat doesn't mean that we're advocating for the CAFO scenario,
right?
Which for people who don't know what that is, you're cramming a bunch of cows into this tiny space. You're force feeding them grains to accelerate their growth. So we're definitely not advocates of that.
Right. I think probably, but we both obtain our meat from healthy pastured animals.
Yeah. I mean, we do. So most of our meat, all of our meat is pretty much always grass-fed, grass-finished, but some places that I've liked in the past for that, I get a butcher box every 6 weeks or so. They're really I think they're really good, careful, and responsible. I've gotten stuff though from Belcampo. I've gotten stuff from White Oak Pastures, Rome Ranch, which I think is in Texas, but I think their website is Force of Nature Meats. So a little more like game meat, elk,
Oh, fun.
bison,
Fun.
venison, things like that. And then I have had a subscription to Maui Nui for a while. So again, every 6 to 8 weeks they send me some venison, some axis deer.
Fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
So-
using a local rancher, and
Great.
I've been using him for years. Just ordered my turkey from him just this past week. So.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, you have to share that name with me offline.
Yeah,
It's
I will.
always I always like to have, it's always good to support local, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
he's interesting in that he's got a variety of animals to offer. So,
Oh, nice.
yeah, I went down to the ranch to pick up my meat, and I'm like, oh, this place is beautiful. Like, just out in Wilcox. So,
Oh, great. Great. Yeah, I mean, that's optimally what you would want is somebody who's, they're looking out for the animal, they're looking out for the environment and the way they raise the animal. And then that's going to give you kind of the healthiest product.
yeah.
So certainly ends up being best for the individual. So
All right. Well, I'm gonna have to go. So we're gonna
sounds
have to
good.
wrap
We
this
should
one
wrap
up.
it up. I don't think there's anything left other than dessert. Yes or no?
Probably not a good idea, but okay on your cheat night.
Okay, on cheat night. What about something a healthy dessert?
So I'm gonna go with heavy cream. Whip that up like a whipped cream. You can
Yeah.
add a little bit of honey if you want it sweet, and then a bunch of cut up fruit.
Yeah.
That was my go-to.
Same here. Yeah, usually that or kefir or Greek yogurt. Again,
Yeah.
something kind of creamy, kind of gets that creaminess to the palate. And then, yeah, you use the fruit for the sweet part.
Yep.
I like that. Okay, great. Well, thanks for sitting down with me to talk about this.
Yeah. It's always
we'll-
fun to talk about food.
Yeah, it always is, except it makes you hungry. And now, well,
Now
gotta
you're
wait till
hungry.
dinner. We're recording this kind of late afternoon, so it won't be too long. But yeah, we'll talk again soon and dive into another. Probably, we'll continue to kind of go into our personal stuff, but we'll also hopefully start to dive into more specific topics.
Yeah.
As
Doing
we
a
go
little
along.
bit of research.
Yeah, great. All
Okay.
right, well, have a great rest of your day. And,
Thanks.
Take care.
Okay. Ooh, that was loud. Okay, you got your creative juices all worked out now.